As we continue to look at the nature of God, we see that God is actually unchangeable. Now, God is spirit, which means that he is a rational, intelligent being. However, God is not growing or maturing. He is actually complete. Therefore, he is unchangeable. We see over in Exodus chapter 3, verse 14, and John chapter 5 and verse 26, that God has life within himself. So he doesn't need life from any other source. Over in Exodus chapter 3 and verse 14, it says, "And God said to Moses, I am who I am. And he said, Thus say to the sons of Israel, I am sent you unto them." Now, the name of God actually means the self-existing one. We often translate that as Jehovah or Yahweh. The actual root meaning of that in the original language is the self-existing one. We see also in John chapter 5 and verse 26 that he has life within himself. For just as the Father has life in himself, thus he gave to the Son to have life within himself. So his source of how he exists is actually within himself. He doesn't need anything from the outside. God is not corruptible. That means he doesn't decay. He doesn't go into a different state where he is not completely 100% perfect. Over in 1 Timothy chapter 1 and verse 17, it says, "Now to the King of the ages, immortal, invisible, God only wise, honor and a proper opinion into the ages of the ages. Amen." He is the King of the ages. He is the one who is immortal. He does not change. James chapter 1 and verse 17 talks about this also. "Every good that is beneficial gift and every mature gift is from above, coming down from the Father of lights, from whom there is no changing nor shadow of turning." So there is no shifting in what he has actually determined he's going to do. Now, spirit is always united, so there's never going to be a dividing of God's essence. You see over in Deuteronomy chapter 6 and verse 4, where God specifically states to Israel that he is one God. He says, "Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one." And the word Lord there is actually the name of God, which again is referring to the self-existing one. Over in James chapter 2 and verse 19, we see, "You believe that there is one God, you do well. Even the demons believe, and they tremble, because even they know that there is only one God." This doesn't mean that God doesn't change what he's doing. We see this even from the very beginning of the Bible in the book of Genesis, where God is making something, he's renovating the earth, he's creating, and then on the seventh day he rests. So he does change what he's doing, but that doesn't mean it changes who he is. Who he actually is as a being never actually changes. Therefore, his promises are always going to be promises that we can rely upon. I mean, just look at Israel and the example of Israel. God gave Israel a promise, and it has to do with the land. Now, at this point, Israel has not received the full land, but that's not because God hasn't offered it. It's because Israel has rejected it. So God is working out through a very wise plan to not only bring Israel into a proper realization of who he is, but who they are to him, so that in the millennial kingdom, they actually will possess the land, and they will serve their God, and they will serve no others. But for now, God is dealing with the church. For the church, he's given us different promises, because we're built upon a different covenant. We don't take Israel's promises. We take the promises for the church. And those promises are something that nobody can take away from us, because the reality is God does not change. And as one who does not change, one who does not lie, one who is not a man, his word will always stand true.